We're back on the air. This is Radio Entrepreneurs, and we're being hosted all week by David Reski and Now Speed in Westboro, Mass. Thank you, David.
It's great to have you, Jeffrey.
Great. Thank you very much. Our next guest, someone you know well, I don't know him yet, I will soon, is Sham Sao, Senior Vice President of Virtual Computer Citrix. Tell us about the firm.
Sure. So Virtual Computer was actually acquired by Citrix, and it's been a decent amount of time since the acquisition. I was the head of marketing and product management in Virtual Computer, and I've actually had the honor of being able to play a few different roles now within Citrix, all around marketing, product management, product marketing, kind of focusing on a number of different areas, and being able to think about how digital marketing connects to all those areas. I've also been an advisor to a couple of different companies, so an advisor to Localytics, which is a company in the mobile digital marketing space, and was an advisor to Performable, which was acquired by HubSpot. So I've been around digital marketing for quite a while.
That's great. You know, as you think about digital marketing at a smaller company like Virtual Computer and what you were doing at Citrix, how do you find it different? What's the difference you've experienced?
Yeah, you know, I think that in terms of the actual marketing itself, it's not that different, right? It's just there's a set of things around being at a bigger company that requires various sets of processes and alignment for good reason. I mean, I think sometimes it's easy for people to make fun of the big companies because they end up having more processes and things that seem more bureaucratic, right? But if you have a number of different divisions and they're all trying to get messages out there and lots of different product lines, if everybody could do what they wanted to, your web page would look like a mess, right? And so, you know, there's good reason why you have to create some of these processes to think about how do you bring all those different messages to market and coordinate with all the different product lines. That's probably the biggest difference, is just the coordination and thinking about how something you might say or do might affect some of the other product lines.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. As you think about, the last few years, has there been a lot of innovation and change that you've seen in the way marketing is done?
Yeah, you know, I see it around mobile a lot, right? So there's always different kinds of innovation going on, you know, people using more things like, if you start from the early days, I was kind of early involved with digital marketing when Eloqua was a new company. I was at Deploy Solutions back then, and a really great marketing guy, a guy named Brett Starr, was on my team, and he said, hey, let's look at this marketing automation thing, and let's start looking at blogs. And nobody even knew what it was back then, right? So it was kind of new. And so all the different phases of evolution that have happened since kind of those early days, you know, having the different social and media channels come up and the business-focused ones like SlideShare. And then, you know, I actually see mobile as sort of the next big channel.
Mm.
I would agree with you. Can you give us a sense of what you think we're going to be seeing in mobile that we're not seeing now?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot more around analytics in mobile and sort of real-time and, you know, personalization and those kinds of things, as well as taking, you know, various sorts of content and creating them as a mobile-first basis, right? I think people have moved in that direction, taking things that have been created in other places and moving towards making them work on mobile devices. So you look at things like responsive designs and things like that. Those are really good directions. But I think it's going to just continue to go further where people will think about creating a piece of content and first think about how's this going to look on a mobile screen, or then even taking it to the next level of creating interactions that you can create on mobile devices and using the touch, you know, so for example, maybe creating a piece of content where you can interact with the content, you know, Q&A, touching, you know, responding, things like that. Those kinds of things I can see happening down the road more.
Do you see, most marketers trying to move their current programs, you know, what they're doing maybe on social, on Facebook, or what they're doing on a website, are they just moving them straight to mobile, or do you think they're trying to evolve the content or the interactions in a unique way for the platforms?
I think the first move is just moving them to mobile, because it's kind of the first, it's kind of the crawl and the crawl, walk, run, right? You have to kind of start doing something. The other challenge is that, you know, you only have a certain amount of resource, and so, you know, you don't have necessarily the resources you need to create a unique piece of content for every single channel. So you have to try to create something that can work for multiple channels, right? So I think the initial evolution is going to be more, let's take things that have worked in other places and make them work and make them fit. But over time, and I don't think it has to be universal. I think it's going to be, you know, in certain audiences, it really comes back to target market, right? So depending on who you're trying to market to, and you start with understanding that, If it's a highly mobile audience where they're going to be consuming 80% of your content on a mobile device, then you might want to do that is lead more with mobile, right? But if it's going to be more of an even mix, you might want to try to come up with things that will work equally well. And there could be some interesting technologies that come up as well. So, for example, I was talking about this interactivity. Well, you could do that through a website, through a survey, right? And so the question just becomes, can you present that in a way where it's really becomes very interactive through mobile, but sort of devolves back down to just a more regular web interface, right? And some of that probably can be done through just responsive design, and there may be some other techniques that evolve over time.
Sham, if somebody wants to connect with you and talk with you, how would they find you?
I'm available on my LinkedIn profile. If you look me up, Sham Sao, it's pretty easy to shoot me, a request through LinkedIn.